The cold millionaire strikes a deal with a female beggar, but love's truth shocks. Charlotte Hayes sat on the threadbare edge of her creaking couch, the sticky summer heat wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Her tiny Chicago apartment, dim, cluttered, smelling faintly of old coffee and dust, felt like a prison rather than a home. The fan in the corner spun lazily, barely moving the heavy air. Bills piled up on the cracked kitchen table. Her mother's funeral was barely a month ago, and the sharp sting of loss twisted inside her chest like a knife. On top of it all, the crushing weight of money worries dragged her down deeper each day. Then the letter came. No ordinary letter. Thick, embossed with a seal she didn't recognize. From an attorney in Manhattan. The words inside hit her like a slap. Her estranged father, this man she barely knew, who vanished when she was a child, had left her a fortune. But there was a catch. A crazy, unbelievable, utterly humiliating. Yes, the Nicholas Montgomery, the infamous billionaire known for his cold eyes and ruthless control over half the business world. For 3 months, Charlotte blinked, heart thudding in her throat. Marry him? The man who embodied everything she despised. Wealth piled so high it crushed simple people like her. A man with an icy stare sharper than broken glass. Rumors swirled around him like smoke, cold as winter, heart locked tight, a corporate shark who devoured anyone who dared cross his path. That afternoon, the meeting was tense. In a sleek, glassy office overlooking the city, the tower felt like a fortress. Charlotte faced Nicolas for the first time. His gaze was like a blade, cutting through the hum of whispered boardroom gossip that clung to the walls. She swallowed hard, trembling hands in her lap. There was fear, hot and raw, but also a spark of furious defiance she refused to smother. 3 months, he said, voice low and clipped. Not a day more. You want the money. Charlotte's laugh was bitter, almost a scream, but inside a strange pull tugged at her. As they plunged into a world of glittering galas and ruthless corporate battles, the lines began to blur. Behind Nicholas's armor, she caught flickers of something else, pain that made his jaw tighten, memory shadowing his eyes when a mention of his father's death sliced through the cold air. Each event they faced was a high-stakes dance, their steps shaky, but somehow in sync. She saw the loneliness buried deep beneath his ruthless reputation, fragments of a man trapped by expectations and the ghost of loss. But just as something unspoken started to stir between them, the world erupted. News of their contract leaked like wildfire. The board was in uproar. Furious whispers turned to open condemnation. Nicholas pulled away, colder than ever, shutting the door before Charlotte could reach him. Her chest tightened painfully, breaths shallow and sharp. And then the anonymous note arrived. Her heart hammered like a warning drum. Was this just another game? Or was there a hidden truth beneath all the glitter and ice? The summer night pressed in, thick and silent. The city's lights flickered outside, but inside Charlotte's small apartment, doubt shattered every hope she dared to hold. What now? Whom could she trust? And was this cold millionaire really the enemy, or something else altogether? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of the. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Charlotte's heart raced, the weight of the note pressing down like a strangling vine. She had faced countless challenges since her mother's death, but the thought of Nicholas being something other than what she imagined made the room spin. Fear twisted inside her, insidious and cold. What was she really getting into? What twisted reality was hidden beneath his icy exterior? The night hung thick with unanswered questions. She felt suffocated in her own skin. What if the truth was as dark as the shadows flickering in the corners of her small apartment? She clutched the note, tearing at the edges as she paced. Her thoughts spiraled. Was Nicolas really the monster she believed him to be? Or was there more to him, a light buried under layers of ice? Just as she decided to confront him, her phone buzzed violently, breaking her from the whirlpool of doubt. It was a message from an unknown number. Her breath caught in her throat. With every ounce of trepidation, she opened it. "Meet me at the back entrance of Montgomery Towers. Midnight. I have something you need to see." A chill crawled down her spine. Who would send her this message? Was it a trap? Or the chance to uncover a truth that would shatter everything? Her instincts screamed at her to ignore it, but she felt drawn to the mystery, as if an invisible thread pulled tighter with every passing second. When the clock struck midnight, she stood outside Montgomery Towers, grappling with the shadows cast by the streetlights. Her heart thundered, echoing in her ears. This was it, no turning back. The towering glass walls gleamed like daggers against the night sky. She pressed her back against the cool concrete, each second stretching like an eternity. Then she saw him, a figure emerging from the darkness. Nicolas, clad in his usual tailored suit, yet tonight he seemed different. Tension wrapped around him like a tightrope. The moon illuminated his features, casting sharp lines across his face. He looked determined, maybe even desperate. "Charlotte," he started, but she cut him off. "Why am I here?" Her voice was a mix of anger and fear. His eyes flickered. "You need to know the truth." Before she could reply, a blaring siren split the night air, sending adrenaline coursing through her veins. From the corner, a police car screeched to a halt, lights flashing. Panic seized her. This wasn't part of the plan. Nicolas reached for her, but she recoiled. Fear gripped her stomach. What was happening? "Run!" he shouted. His voice broke through her shock. Without thinking, she sprinted, her feet pounding against the pavement, heart racing. She glanced back to see him being tackled to the ground by two officers. "Stop! You don't understand," he yelled, struggling. Her chest tightened. What did he mean? Before she could ponder further, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, familiar yet shrouded in darkness. "Charlotte!" the woman cried, stepping into the light. Her chestnut hair glowed under the streetlights. "Mom?" Charlotte gasped, the air choking her. But it couldn't be. Her mother was gone. Her mind reeling, heart shattering. How was this possible? "Listen to me. Nicolas is not who you think he is." The urgency in her voice cut through Charlotte's disbelief. "There's a reason for everything. He's in danger, and so are you." Shock and betrayal twisted inside Charlotte. Everything she thought she knew shattered like glass. In that moment, her reality warped, leaving her teetering on the edge of two worlds. The one she thought she belonged to, and this chaotic truth that made her question it all. As the officers pulled Nicolas further away, all Charlotte could do was stare, her heart caught in a storm of doubts. Who was her mother really? Who was Nicolas? And where would this horrifying revelation lead her next? Charlotte's world spun as she looked from the woman who claimed to be her mother to the chaos erupting around her. The sirens cut through the night, a harsh reminder of this horrifying moment. She felt like glass, shattered and barely holding together. "Mom?" she whispered, hope and despair tangled together in her chest. "Charlotte, it's me. I've waited." But from behind, sleek shapes emerged from the shadows. Men in black suits, badges glinting in the streetlight, their intentions unreadable. "Ma'am, you need to step back," one officer barked, eyes scanning the area. Don't let them take him, her mother pleaded, pulling Charlotte closer. The desperation in her voice ignited something deep inside Charlotte. It's not safe here. You have to trust me. Why should I trust you? Charlotte spat, heart pounding. She felt betrayed, lost. Because I loved your father. I tried to protect you, protect us. Her mother's words sliced through Charlotte like a blade. Everything shifted. The darkness around Nicolas, the tension between them, it shifted into something new. What do you mean? Charlotte asked, breathless. But a gunshot rang out, echoing off the buildings. She gasped, instinct screaming at her to run. But something held her in place. Before she could process it, Nicolas sprang to his feet, adrenaline fueling his movements. Charlotte, go, now! He twisted sharply, sending a piercing glare at the officers. But the chaos roared louder. Danger wrapped them in its icy grip. And then Charlotte's world exploded. An explosion rocked Montgomery Towers. The force knocked everyone off their feet. Lights flickered through shattered windows, and dust plumed into the air. She shielded her face, heart racing like a drum. Screams erupted all around. Venice-like panic set in. Could this be real? The strong winds mixed with smoke, creating dizzying waves. Charlotte's feet finally moved, propelled by raw instinct as she searched for Nicolas. She found him, his eyes wild, searching for her. "This way," he hollered, pulling her to safety. But as they stumbled away from the chaos, a figure emerged from the haze. A tall man with a cruel smile. He stepped towards them, calm amidst the chaos. "Nicolas, you took too long. It's time to finish what you started." "Who are you?" Charlotte gasped, the pieces snapping into place, scrambling her thoughts. Before Nicolas could answer, the man reached into his jacket. Yet right as he did, a flash of light erupted, and suddenly, everything vanished in a blinding burst. Silence. Charlotte blinked, disoriented. She wasn't outside anymore. She sat in a sterile room, white walls closing in, a stark contrast to the night they'd just escaped. Nurses rushed in, their faces a blur. But a moment later, urgency quaked the air. "No!" An icy voice cut through her confusion, recognizing it instantly. It was the man from the alley. But here he wore a doctor's coat. "A doctor? Charlotte, it's not what you think." Nicolas's voice was frantic. But as he stepped closer, she noticed the blood on his hands, crimson against his perfectly tailored suit. "What's happening?" Her voice trembled. They were trapped, and the walls felt like they were closing in. "What did you do?" He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could say another word, alarms blared. He looked panicked, eyes darting between her and the door. "Charlotte, you have to understand. There's no time. He's coming, and once he gets here..." "Who?" The words slipped from her lips, the shadows in her mind swirling with uncertainty. "Your father. He's alive." The room spun, twisting Charlotte's stomach into knots. Everything she thought she knew unraveled in an instant, revealing a darker truth lurking beneath her reality. "Your mother is trapped in the past. Nicolas's voice broke, panic flaring, drawing her in. But before he could finish, the door burst open, and there stood her father, unscathed, grinning with a devilish mirth. "Welcome back to the family, Charlotte." And in that moment, everything changed. Everything she believed flipped upside down, shattering her world once more. Secrets clawed at her heart, whispering doubts that left her breathless, and suddenly, utterly unsure of who to trust. She felt herself teetering on the edge of a terrifying abyss, every instinct screaming that the true nightmare was only just beginning. Charlotte's heart thudded as the door swung open, revealing a man who was supposed to be a ghost. Her father. The shock sent a tremor through her body. "You're alive?" she stammered, confusion washing over her. "But I thought..." Nicolas remained tense beside her, fists clenched, the worry etching deeper lines across his brow. This isn't how it should be. Charlotte, it's a trap. He shouldn't be here. Surprise, her father sneered, stepping inside the room, his gaze flicking between the two. Welcome back to the family. His smile shattered the air, cold and dark, sending a shiver down her spine. The familiar clench of fear grasped at her heart as she struggled to process it all. Charlotte's mother stepped back, shadowed by the sudden revelation. "No, it can't be. You shouldn't be here." Her voice trembled, a plea laced with disbelief. The doctor, now a spectator on the sidelines, tensed. "Mr. Hayes, we need to clear out of here," he barked. But the man grinned wider, as if relishing the chaos. "This is family business," her father retorted, his voice dripping with mockery. "And you, dear, have been kept in the dark for far too long." The walls felt like they were closing in. Who was this man standing in front of them? Reality slipped like sand through her fingers. She thought she knew her father's story. She had mourned the loss of someone she'd never even met. Yet here he was, and the air thickened with unspoken truths. Nicolas took a step forward, his eyes hardened, voice low. "You think you can come in here and pretend? You've done enough damage." The tension crackled like static, an electric current of danger pulsing between them. "Damage?" her father scoffed, tilting his head in disdain. "I have given you both a gift. Charlotte, you are meant for so much more than this pathetic life." He gestured around, a sweep of the room filled with shadows and dust. "It's time you see what you are truly capable of." Charlotte's mind raced. What did he mean? Before she could speak, yet another voice rose over the chaos, female, urgent. "Charlotte! Dad!" A young woman burst through the door, breathless and frantic. She had striking features, sharp and familiar. "You need to listen to me." "Who are you?" Charlotte asked, heart pounding, reckoning with the twisted family she had never known. "Your sister," the woman declared, eyes wide. "They're using you. You have to get out." But just as she spoke, the alarms blared, red lights flashing. An announcement crackled over the loudspeakers, drowning them in static. "Evacuate the premises immediately. Security breach in progress." Charlotte's stomach dropped. Panic thundered in her veins. "What's happening?" she shrieked, looking between her father and Nicolas. The world shifted again, everything she believed teetering on the edge of collapse. "Charlotte, listen to her." Nicolas instilled urgency. "We need to move." "No," her father growled, advancing with menace. "You're not going anywhere without me." Before anyone could react, a freezing flash of light erupted from the hallway, blinding. The air shifted, the atmosphere warped. Charlotte stumbled, her vision swimming as the chaos dissolved around her. She blinked, and suddenly the room transformed. They were no longer in a sterile building. They stood on the crest of a cliff, overlooking a churning sea, waves crashing against the rocks below, dark clouds swirling above. A storm brewed on the horizon. Charlotte turned in disbelief. "What just happened?" she gasped, heart racing, uncertainty flooding her. "Where are we?" Her sister looked around in confusion. "This isn't possible." Nicolas shook his head, jaw tight. "This is a place between places, a dimension we shouldn't have access to. He's trying to trap us here." "Trap?" Charlotte's voice rose. "What do you mean?" "But why?" her sister interjected, voice breaking. "What does he want?" At that moment, another figure leapt from the shadows, and her heart stopped. It was her mother, but she looked different, darker, more formidable. "I had to take you away, Charlotte," she said, revealing a necklace that glinted ominously under the stormy sky. "You were never meant to be a pawn in their game." "What game?" "Your father. He's not who he says he is. None of this is real." The urgency in her mother's voice cracked through the clouds, slicing the tension. He's been using you, all of you. Charlotte's reality crumbled around her. The truths she clung to shattered like glass underfoot. She glanced at Nicolas, fear and confusion etched on his face, uncertainty sparking in their shared gaze. Where do we go from here? And just like that, all the secrets and lies that had entwined their lives unraveled. Who could they trust now? With the storm swirling around them, they were caught in a tempest of betrayal and twisted fate, searching for an escape that felt impossibly far away. Charlotte stood on the edge of the cliff, adrenaline pulsing through her veins, a whirlwind of emotions clouding her mind. The dark clouds overhead felt like a storm brewing, mirroring the chaos in her heart. She turned to her mother, eyes wide. "You're saying he's been using us?" "Yes," her mother replied, her voice strained. "But there's more, Charlotte. It's not just your father. It goes deeper than that." Deeper how? Charlotte felt the weight of 1,000 questions pressing down on her, drowning in fear and confusion. She glanced at Nicolas, standing a few steps away, watching her with an intensity that made her pulse race. Then, suddenly, the ground shook beneath them. A rumble echoed through the air, and their surroundings shifted, the cliff edge crumbling. "What's happening?" Charlotte shouted, terror gripping her. "It's him!" Nicolas growled, storming forward. "He's trying to break us apart." Before she could even process his words, a blinding light exploded from the darkness, washing over them in waves. She shielded her eyes, overwhelmed by its brightness. When the light faded, they found themselves in a different place, a dark room filled with flickering monitors. Charlotte stumbled, disoriented. "Where are we now?" Nicolas stepped back, eyes wide with recognition. This isn't good." Someone moved behind them, and Charlotte whirled around. A woman stood there, her face partially hidden in shadows. But when she stepped into the light, Charlotte gasped. It was her. "Me?" she breathed, her voice shaking as her double grinned, a taunting smirk playing on her lips. "Yes, the real you," her double replied, voice smooth like ice. "And let me tell you, she's been waiting for this moment." Charlotte felt a cold shiver run down her spine. "What are you talking about?" "I've been hiding in the darkness, planning. You thought you could escape? Oh, Charlotte, you're just the pawn in a larger game." Nicolas's face twisted in confusion, anger bubbling beneath the surface. "No, this can't be happening," he shouted, turning to Charlotte. "But it is," her double laughed, the sound echoing off the walls with a maddening clarity. "They all lied to you, your father, your mother. They think they're in control, but they've been manipulated just like you. And I'm the true heir." Charlotte's chest tightened, pain slicing through her. "Heir? To what? What do you want from me?" Her double stepped closer, voice low and menacing. "Your life was never yours to control. With my memories, my skills, you will help us take back what's rightfully ours. You're more than just a daughter, my dear. You're the key." The realization hit like a punch. "You were living inside me? All this time?" "Exactly," she replied, eyes sparkling with a chaotic mix of ambition and malice. "And now that I've revealed myself, it's time for us to merge." "What?" Charlotte recoiled, horror flooding her veins. "I won't let that happen." But her double laughed, sharp and confident. "You don't have a choice. We are one. I can do things you can't even begin to imagine." Suddenly, the screens around them flickered to life, showing chaos unfolding in different parts of the world. Riots, economic disasters, and shadows looming over cities. "You see?" Her double taunted. "With your help, we can reshape reality. Your friends, your family, they'll kneel before us." "Stop it!" Charlotte shouted, stumbling back, overwhelmed. "You're insane!" But just then, an alarm blared, piercing through the darkness, and the room shook again. Something, or someone was coming. "Charlotte!" Nicolas yelled, reaching for her. "We need to get out!" But as she looked at him, her heart raced. Could she trust him? She felt her double's presence creeping back into her mind, whispering softly, promising power, control, everything she'd ever dreamed of. "Choose wisely," her double said, a wicked smile spreading across her face. "You can either fight or embrace what we can become." With the ground trembling beneath their feet, Charlotte stood there, heart racing, her future hanging in the balance. What path would she take, and who would she become when the dust settled? Charlotte stood at the edge of the cliff, adrenaline surging through her. The wind whipped around her, lifting her hair like wild tendrils. "You," she breathed, teeth clenched. "You think you can just take my life?" The intensity in her voice felt like venom. Her double laughed, a chilling sound that echoed against the dark rocks. "You're not even aware of how powerful you truly are. Together, we could achieve everything." But all Charlotte felt was fear. "No, this isn't me." The ground trembled beneath everyone's feet, making her heart race faster. Yet, Nicolas was right there, steady. "Charlotte, don't listen to her." His blue eyes flared with urgency, pure determination. "We have to fight this." Suddenly, the room jolted again, shaking, as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. The monitors flickered wildly, and in a flash of static, a different scene emerged. It showed her mother with a terrified expression, a cry frozen on her lips. "Charlotte, you need to trust me. What's happening?" Then everything shifted once more. There was a loud crash as the walls warped and bent around them like paper. Time itself seemed to lose sense. Sounds of a massive explosion echoed, and Charlotte braced herself, instinctively moving closer to Nicolas. The double smirked. "This is what I told you. Chaos is the only way forward. We'll reign over it together." Before she could react, flashes of memory hit her. Images of family gatherings, laughter, her mother's embrace. And then a hidden face emerged among those good memories, a man standing quietly behind her father's shadow. "What is that?" Charlotte whispered, clutching her head as if to shake it loose. Nicolas frowned, pushing forward. "Charlotte, let's focus. We don't have time to—" But then everything exploded into a blinding light, and Charlotte felt herself fall. She landed not on the ground, but on what felt like a surface made of silk, soothing yet surreal. "What?" she gasped, looking around. "Where are we?" They stood in a vast white room filled with light. Figures materialized around her, familiar but distant. Her mother, older and worn, stood there looking at her kindly, and next to her, a man she didn't recognize. "Dad?" she whispered, disbelief coursing through her veins. "Charlotte, listen to me," her mother urged. "We brought you here for a reason. You must understand that your father, he's not who you think he is." Charlotte's breath hitched, betrayal twisting deep in her gut. The man beside her mother stepped closer, his face breaking into a twisted smile, eerily familiar. "You see? Charlotte, we've been waiting for you to understand. This family, our legacy, it's more powerful than you could imagine." Legacy? Charlotte's heart raced, pulse like thunder in her ears. In the blink of an eye, everything collapsed. Secrets she never expected shattered like glass around her. Suddenly, the man turned directly to her. "I am not your father. I am your true creator, the one who pulled the strings. Your father was merely a vessel." The revelation struck her harder than any blow. "You're lying." But in her heart, she felt the weight of truth settling in. "I engineered your very existence," he pressed. "And the time has come for you to unlock your full potential. With me, we will rewrite history." The world swung around her, and she looked desperately at Nicolas for support. But he stood bewildered, eyes wide. It felt like something snapped inside him. "No, "No, this isn't happening," he whispered, panic flooding his tone. Charlotte's world flipped again, leaving her dizzy. "I don't believe this. I won't." Just then, a brilliant flash enveloped them, blinding light, and the last thing Charlotte saw before everything vanished was Hodouble's wicked smile fading into darkness. Silence. The next moment, she found herself back at the cliff, its edge crumbling beneath her feet. But everything felt charged with new energy. "What just happened?" she ventured, breathless, uncertainty gathering like fog around her. But before anyone could respond, the ground shuddered violently, and a gaping chasm opened, threatening to swallow them whole. "Charlotte!" Nicolas shouted, grabbing her arm. "We have to go, now!" And as they scrambled away from the edge, Charlotte felt that familiar tug within. Everything she believed, stitched together by lies, now threatened to unravel completely. What would happen next? Who could she trust? With her heart racing, she looked back into the abyss. Behind the chaos loomed the shadows of her family, the truth, the legacy, standing at the edge of an uncertain future. The ground trembled beneath them, shifting dangerously like a sinkhole swallowing everything whole. Charlotte grabbed Nicolas's hand, pulse racing as fear clawed at her insides. "We need to move," she urged, feeling the gravity of the situation wrap around her like chains. "Right," Nicolas shouted, his grip tightening. But before they could take another step, another jolt rocked the earth, and the chasm widened, a deep void cracking open right in front of them. A yawning mouth of darkness. Charlotte's heart stumbled. No, not again. She felt as if time had conspired against them. Just a moment ago, they had been caught in a web of lies and untruths. Now, it felt like reality itself was collapsing, like a dangerous game spinning out of control. Behind them, her sister's face twisted in horror. "What's happening?" she cried, adrenaline surging through her voice. "We have to escape." As they staggered back, that familiar feeling of icy dread washed over Charlotte. The world was slipping away again, and she fought against that sinking sensation, determined to break free. And then a sound cut through the air, a low hum that rose to a deafening roar. Charlotte turned just in time to see a figure step from the shadows. A man in a dark coat, his presence heavy and suffocating. He lifted his head, and Charlotte's breath hitched as recognition settled like ice. It was the familiar man from her memories, the one she had seen alongside her father. "What do you want?" she demanded, voice shaking, yet fierce. "Everything." His voice slithered through the air like a serpent. "You have something that belongs to me." He pointed a long finger at her, and for a heartbeat, Charlotte felt as if she were pinned under an invisible weight. "What are you talking about?" she shouted, looking at Nicolas, desperation swirling in her chest. But confusion clouded his expression too. "What do all of you want from me?" He stepped closer, eyes gleaming with a twisted determination. "Charlotte, your powers, your legacy, are far more than you comprehend, and without my guidance, you will never unlock them." With that, the roar crescendoed, echoing across the chasm, and in an instant, the fabric of reality shifted again. The air rippled like water, and then everything went dark. For a moment, silence filled the void. Then Charlotte felt a rush, a blinding light bursting through the darkness, enveloping her in warmth. She blinked, and when her vision cleared, she stood on a familiar street. The sun shone brightly, and all around her, life bustled. "Wait, what?" A voice emerged nearby, thick with disbelief. She turned to see Nicolas, awash with confusion as he looked around. "Where are we? We're back home?" Charlotte's heart raced. It felt surreal. The familiar sights of their city felt like a hazy dream. There was laughter, folks chatting over coffee, children playing. Everything seemed blissfully normal. "Charlotte, this isn't real. It can't be." Nicolas shook his head, his voice urgent. "We were just..." But before he could finish, Another figure stepped into view. A woman stood there, serene and ethereal, an aura of familiarity washing over Charlotte, her mother. She looked different, calmer, more alive. "Darling, I'm so glad you're back." "Back? We weren't gone." Charlotte felt her heart race as disbelief soared. Was this some cruel trick? But her mother stepped forward, a soft expression melting her features. "You must understand. There are truths hidden beneath the surface." Charlotte's heart dropped. What truths? The street brightened as her mother embraced her. But then a shadow crossed her face. "You have to embrace your true lineage, dear. It's the only way to survive this." "Lineage?" Charlotte echoed, confused. "You mean the powers? What are you not telling me?" The world held its breath. "Charlotte," her mother hesitated, gaze wavering. "I never wanted this for you, but—" Suddenly, a blaring alarm cut through the peaceful atmosphere. The bright day dissolved into panic. People ran, shouting filled the air, and Charlotte's heart pounded with dread. A car exploded in the distance, sending a shockwave of heat and chaos ripping through the street. "Get down!" Nicolas shouted, pulling Charlotte to safety as debris rained down around them. But then Charlotte's mother started to shimmer, like a mirage fading. "It's too late!" Her voice echoed, filled with desperation. "You must awaken your power!" And just as quickly the blissful scene shifted back into the abyss, leaving Charlotte struggling to comprehend everything. Her mind spun, heart racing dangerously fast. What had just happened? Was this all an illusion? And who could be trusted? She clutched Nicolas's hand tighter, feeling the gravity of the chasm, calling her, pulling her deeper into a storm of secrets that threatened to drown her. "Wake up, Charlotte!" he yelled, shaking her gently. And in that moment, realization hit hard. This isn't over. We have to face whatever is coming. But the dissonance remained, shadows lurking, question marks trailing behind. What if everything she believed was a lie? What if, somehow, they were still trapped in a game woven by forces beyond their control? A chilling thought gripped her heart, the uncertainty wrapping around her like chains. What came next would change everything. Charlotte stood at the edge of the cliff, adrenaline pulsing through her veins as the ground trembled beneath them. Ice-cold fear gripped her heart. "We need to move," she urged, squeezing Nicolas's hand tightly. He looked just as scared, yet resolute. Just then, a shout blasted through the chaos. "Take cover!" A figure burst from the darkness, an armed intruder, masked and wild-eyed, charging toward them with a weapon drawn. Panic erupted. "Run!" Nicolas yelled, pulling Charlotte to safety behind a jagged rock formation at the cliff's edge. The intruder's voice rose above the din. "You can't escape your fate! This ends now!" Cold sweat coated Charlotte's palms. She ducked low, fear chasing her thoughts. What does he mean? What fate? She glanced at Nicolas, their breaths mingling. The shadows of the cliff enveloped them. "Stay down," he urged, voice tense. "We have to get out of here. The ladder." His words were cut off by a deafening bang. The noise made her flinch. A blast sent debris flying. A shockwave knocked them both backwards. The world spun. Disoriented, she landed hard on the ground, breathless. The air turned to chaos around them, screams mingling with shouts. "Nicolas!" she cried, scrambling to her feet. The intruder lurked amidst the jumble of rubble and rocks, searching frantically. "We need to get out now!" "Charlotte!" Nicolas's voice pierced through the noise, laced with urgency. "Follow me!" He darted to the side, heart pounding as they fled. Then, out of nowhere, another explosion rippled through the ground. Bright light erupted, blinding Charlotte. She felt herself being thrown, tumbling through the air. Pain radiated through her body as she hit the ground hard, gasping for breath. Everything went dark. When Charlotte awoke, she was not at the cliff. Instead, she found herself in a dimly lit room, sterile and quiet. She blinked, confusion swirling. "Where am I?" "Hello, Charlotte." The voice was calm, almost soothing. She squinted into the shadows to see a familiar figure, Dr. Langston, the doctor she had seen earlier in the sterile room back at Montgomery Towers, standing by the door. "What happened? Where's Nicolas?" Panic bubbled in her throat. "Everything will be all right," he said, but his gaze held a weight that unsettled her. "You're safe here." "Safe? But where's Nicolas?" she echoed, searching his face. Something in his eyes flickered, compassion mixed with something darker. "Where's Nicolas?" "Here," he said coolly, motioning to the side. Charlotte turned to see Nicolas, unconscious on the floor, a few feet away. Relief mixed with dread as she rushed to his side. She gently shook him. "Nicolas, wake up." His eyes fluttered open, and confusion washed over his face. "What happened?" "Dr. Langston. He brought us here." "Why? What is this place?" Dr. Langston stepped forward, a knowing smile on his lips. "You've both been part of something much larger than you realize. You're not just survivors. You're players in a game that involves more than just your lives." "What do you mean?" Charlotte felt her chest tighten as fear gnawed at her. "It's time to face the truth," he said, standing tall. "Charlotte, you possess a power that you have yet to unlock. A power your father sought." Green light flickered around him, shimmering like a mirage. "What?" The words hit her like a punch. "My father?" Suddenly, Dr. Langston's expression shifted, growing cold. "He's been manipulating you, and so have I." Charlotte felt a chill wash over her, the very foundation of her reality crumbling. "What do you mean?" "Your father is not who you think he is. And you." He stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with dark excitement. "You are the key to everything. All this was a test, testing your limits, your loyalty." Her stomach twisted. "What kind of test?" Before he could respond, the walls around them rippled, and the ground shook. Panic filled the air. Charlotte looked to Nicolas, fear mirrored in his eyes. "You have to make a choice," Dr. Langston said, his voice low and steady. "Join us, or be left behind." "No," Charlotte shouted, feeling betrayed. "You can't force me." But that was when everything changed. A blinding light enveloped them, and before she knew it, the world faded again. When Charlotte came to, she found herself on the very cliff where everything began. But it was different now. Shadows danced around her, whispering secrets. And standing at the edge, her father, alive, grinning. "Welcome back, Charlotte," he said, voice smooth as silk. "It's time for you to embrace who you truly are." The chilling smile sent ice through her veins. All the layers of deception fell away, leaving only the daunting truth. Her father's gaze was like forged steel, and she realized with horror that she had stepped into a trap of which she was the centerpiece. The question crashed into her mind like a wave. Was she really the key or the pawn? Charlotte stood at the edge of the cliff, breath caught in her throat, staring at the man who claimed to be her father. The weight of his presence bore down on her like a storm cloud, heavy and foreboding. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, voice trembling but fierce. "Your power, Charlotte," he said, his smile a sharp curve that sent shivers racing down her spine. "You're the key to everything I've built. This moment was always destined to be ours." The cliffside seemed to grow darker around them, shadows creeping in like tendrils of deceit. She recoiled, the cold grasp of his words sending her heartbeat racing. "You're lying." He stepped closer, invading her space, anger flickering in his eyes. "You think you can escape me? You don't even realize what you possess. It's all inside you. You just have to let it out." "Charlotte," Nicolas's voice cut through the tension. He was rigid beside her, expression torn between concern for her and defiance against Charlotte's father. "Don't listen to him. We're stronger than whatever he's trying to do. I've waited years for this, Charlotte. You don't understand, her father pressed, passion igniting his tone. The world needs a new order, and you were meant to help usher it in. You belong with me. No. She shook her head violently, the coldness of his words freezing her thoughts. I will never belong to you. As her heart raced, the ground trembled once more, and out of nowhere, the air crackled, dark and electric. The sky behind her father momentarily lit up, as if reality itself was fraying at the seams. Charlotte! A voice boomed from the darkness. She turned just in time to see Dr. Langston appear, looking frantic, eyes wide. Get away from him, he shouted, lunging forward. What, Dr. Langston? What do you want? Panic surged within her. The world spun. Everything felt wrong. But in that crucial moment, something unexpected happened. A blinding light erupted from Dr. Langston, illuminating the dark chasm behind her father. As the light washed over them, Charlotte felt a dizzying rush of energy and confusion. No, her father gasped, face twisting in horror. But it was too late. The light enveloped him, transforming the air around them into a swirling vortex. Then, with a deafening crack, he exploded into 1,000 shards of light, dissolving like mist in the wind. Charlotte stared, breathless. What just happened? But before she could comprehend it, Dr. Langston staggered back, his expression shifting from urgency to resignation. Charlotte, there's something I haven't told you. His voice trembled, filled with a weight that crushed her heart. I'm not who you think I am, either. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not? Fear suddenly gripped her, as the reality of his words settled in. The powers you hold, he continued, trembling now. They're dangerous. I was sent to protect you, but he faltered, anguish etched in his face. I designed the experiment you've unknowingly been part of. This was never just about your father. What? The words felt like daggers. What? It was all part of a larger plan. A plan to harness your ability, Charlotte. To turn you into a weapon. The ground beneath her felt like it was disappearing. No, you can't mean that, she whispered, tears pricking at her eyes. All this time. And as he stepped forward, the thin veneer of his calm shattered, revealing chaos lurking beneath. Charlotte, you have to choose. In that very moment, as darkness swirled, alarm bells rang in her mind. The world around them began to warp again. The reality she thought she knew shattered like glass, throwing her into confusion as she faced Dr. Langston again. Please, don't do this, she begged. But just as everything spiraled into chaos, everything she thought was her reality hung in the balance, as the shadows closed in again, and the truth rippled through the air like an unsheathed sword, cutting deeper than the darkest lies. Charlotte's heart raced as she faced Dr. Langston, uncertainty gripping her tighter than before. You mean to tell me that you designed all of this? That I was just part of your experiment? Charlotte, you have to understand. He looked desperate now, his calm facade crumbling. Your father wants to harness your power to shift the balance of the world, to control it. I tried to protect you. Protect me? She echoed, the anger boiling over. Or manipulate me? You knew I could be a weapon in his hands. Before Dr. Langston could respond, the room around them began to flicker again. The walls shook, trembling with the same energy that pulsed through her veins. The shelves rattled, and Charlotte felt the depths of her own despair pushing in around her, squeezing her chest. No, Nicolas shouted, grabbing her hand tightly. We can't let this happen. We have to fight back. The panic radiated in the air, thick as a storm cloud. Charlotte felt the tidal waves of doubt crashing around her, but her determination flared. What do we do? She asked, breathless. The only way out is through, Dr. Langston finally admitted, sadness shadowing his features. You have to confront your father and unlock your full potential. It's the only way to break this cycle. Then let's go, Charlotte shouted. But as she turned to move, another explosion echoed, sending a shockwave that knocked them backward. Dust and debris filled the air, choking her. Now, we have to move. Nicolas pulled her along as reality around them shifted once more, swirling into a blinding light. They stood together, courage intertwined with fear, ready to face whatever lay ahead. When the brightness faded, they found themselves back at the cliff. The eerie calmness was unsettling. Shadows flickered, whispers rose, and her father stood there waiting, his presence a heavy gloom. "You think you can run from me?" he growled, stepping closer, eyes narrowed. "Stay back!" Charlotte shouted, feeling Nicolas's grip tighten around her hand. "I won't let you control me." "And yet you're here, aren't you?" he sneered, voice cold as ice. "This is where you belong." In that heart-stopping moment, something ignited inside Charlotte. The truth flooded her. This wasn't just about her father. This was about choosing her own path. She felt the energy swirling within her, raw and untamed. "Charlotte!" Nicolas called out, his voice steadying. "Remember who you are. You're stronger than this." With every ounce of strength, she held on to his words, focusing on the burning fire within. "I won't be a pawn," she cried, lifting her hands, feeling the energy rise. A brilliant light blossomed around her, illuminating the darkness. "No!" her father screamed, darkness flooding his eyes. The energy surged, wrapping around Charlotte, pushing back against the shadows. She felt the bond between her and Nicolas tighten, a powerful connection that fueled her resolve. The darkness rippled and writhed, but Charlotte stood firm, channeling every ounce of her strength. "I choose my own fate," she declared, voice stronger than she ever thought possible. With that proclamation, the light erupted, engulfing everything. The shadows screamed, a cacophony of anger rising as the darkness shattered, falling away like brittle glass. Her father's twisted face, twisted in rage, before fading into nothingness. And then, silence. Charlotte gasped, her heart pounding. The cliff stood bathed in bright sunlight, warmth enveloping her. She turned, searching for Nicolas, relief washing over her as their eyes met. "We did it!" she exclaimed, tears of joy spilling down her cheeks. But just then, from the corner of her eye, she noticed a figure emerging from the shadows. Dr. Langston stepped forward, more uncertain than before. "This isn't over, Charlotte," he warned, concern etched on his face. "What do you mean?" Charlotte asked, dread settling in her stomach. "There are others who will come. Your father was only a piece of the puzzle. The true battle has just begun." The joyous moment hung in the air, laced with uncertainty, and Charlotte realized the journey was far from finished. She shared a determined glance with Nicolas, and together they stood at the edge of their new reality. "Together," Charlotte declared, squeezing his hand tightly. For the first time, the path ahead felt less daunting. If you've enjoyed this wild ride of twists and turns, you must subscribe now to our channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash the like button right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. And flood the comments with your reactions and theories. Let us hear what you think of the ending. This is the moment to excitedly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. Don't wait one more second. Your support makes all.